Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about 10mm, but not in the way it's usually presented. This isn't about the most powerful handgun, the loudest range toy, or a fantasy bear defense scenario. This video is about practicality. When people talk about owning a 10mm, the conversation usually jumps straight to power, recoil, or extreme use cases. But owning a gun day to day is about more than that. It's about whether you can control it, whether it runs reliably, whether you can actually carry it, find holsters and parts, and whether it fits your real life, not a theoretical one. This list is built around real ownership factors, how these guns handle, hold up, and fit into everyday use. No hype, no brand loyalty, and no assumptions without context. Just 6 10mm handguns that make sense to own, shoot, and live with. So let's get into it and break down the most practical 10mm guns you can own, based on real use, real feedback, and realistic ownership considerations only. Nothing more, nothing less. When most shooters think about practicality, a steel-framed 1911 chambered in 10mm is rarely the first platform that comes to mind. Weight, manual safeties, and perceived complexity often push 1911S out of the conversation early. The Rock Island Armory Ultra HC earns its place on this list by addressing those concerns in very specific, measurable ways. This is not a traditional single-stack 1911. The Ultra HC uses a double-stack magazine with a 16-round capacity, which immediately changes its role. Capacity is no longer the limiting factor it usually is with this platform, and that alone makes it more viable for defensive or outdoor use. The all-steel construction plays a practical role rather than a cosmetic one. Another practical consideration with this platform is ammunition tolerance. Heavier steel-framed pistols often cycle more consistently with full-power 10mm loads, including hard-cast or heavier bullet weights commonly used outdoors. This reduces the likelihood of tuning recoil springs or adjusting loads simply to maintain reliability. With full-power 10mm loads, the added mass helps absorb recoil and reduce muzzle rise. Compared to lighter polymer frames, the Ultra HC tends to track flatter during follow-up shots, particularly when shooting heavier bullet weights. For shooters sensitive to recoil impulse, this can translate directly into better control. The trigger remains a strong point. A clean, consistent single-action trigger allows accurate shooting without modification, which reduces the need for aftermarket work. Where this gun becomes more specialized is in size, weight, and manual operation. It demands familiarity with thumb safety and accepts the trade-off of increased carry weight. For shooters comfortable with metal frames who prioritize recoil control and shootability over concealment, the Ultra HC is a practical 10mm, just not a universal one. The Smith & Wesson M&P 10mm stands out for one primary reason: shootability. Among polymer-framed 10mm pistols, it consistently feels easier to manage than its size and caliber would suggest. The grip angle, frame contouring, and texture contribute to a natural point of aim that works for a wide range of shooters. On the range, recoil impulse is smooth rather than abrupt, and many users report that the gun feels closer to a service-size 9mm than a typical high-pressure 10mm handgun. That controllability makes longer training sessions more realistic and reduces fatigue, which matters when evaluating practical ownership. Accuracy is predictable, and the platform performs well across standard defensive and range ammunition. From a maintenance standpoint, the M&P platform is straightforward to service, with simple field stripping and widely available replacement parts. Grip inserts also allow shooters to fine-tune fit, which can directly affect trigger reach and recoil control over longer training sessions. These characteristics explain why the M&P is frequently chosen for home defense, range use, and even outdoor carry where shootability is prioritized. However, practicality also includes consistency over time, and this is where discussion around the M&P becomes more nuanced. Real-world feedback shows a split in user experience, with many owners reporting flawless performance and others encountering feeding issues often tied to magazines, ammunition selection, or early production runs. Because of that, the M&P earns its place here with a condition: reliability should be verified with the ammunition you intend to use. When properly sorted, it remains one of the most comfortable and controllable 10mm pistols available. The Springfield XDM Elite 10mm approaches practicality from a different angle. Instead of excelling in one standout category, it delivers solid performance across the board straight out of the box. For many shooters, that balance is the appeal. Ergonomically, The grip is well-shaped and accommodates a wide range of hand sizes. Recoil control is predictable, and the gun remains stable during controlled strings of fire. Even with hotter loads, the trigger is usable without immediate upgrades, which reduces upfront ownership costs. Another practical benefit is ease of disassembly and reassembly, which simplifies routine cleaning. For owners who train frequently, this reduces friction in maintenance and encourages more consistent upkeep compared to platforms that require additional steps or tools. Capacity is another practical advantage. With a 16-round magazine, the XDM Elite offers a meaningful balance between firepower and frame size. Springfield's availability of different configurations, including more compact variants, also makes this platform adaptable to different roles rather than locking it into a single use case. Where the XDM Elite shows its limitations is not in performance, but in support. Holster options, aftermarket sights, and optic co-witness solutions are available, but not as extensive as those for Glock or M&P platforms. These are not deal breakers, but they are factors that affect long-term ownership. For shooters looking for a reliable, well-rounded 10mm that requires minimal modification to be useful, the XDM Elite remains a practical and accessible option. The FN510 approaches 10mm from a clearly defined direction, a modern, duty-focused handgun built around capacity, mass, and structural stability. Instead of trying to make the caliber feel smaller or lighter than it is, FN designed this platform to manage recoil through size and balance. With a 22-round magazine, the FN510 fundamentally changes how shooters think about round count in a 10mm pistol. Rather than treating capacity as a limitation, it allows sustained strings of fire without frequent reloads. Combined with the pistol's larger grip frame and heavier slide, recoil impulse feels more spread out and predictable, especially when shooting heavier defensive or outdoor loads. From a practical ownership standpoint, this is a pistol designed to be run hard. The FN510 also benefits from a modern control layout that favors left and right-handed shooters equally. Ambidextrous controls are not just a convenience feature here. They reduce training barriers for mixed-handed users or agencies sharing platforms. It ships optics-ready, includes ambidextrous controls, and uses aggressive grip texturing that supports consistent indexing even when shooting with gloves or under stress. The trigger is not tuned for competition, but it is consistent and appropriate for a duty-style role where reliability and predictability matter more than feel. The FN510 does come with trade-offs. Size and weight limit concealability. And for most shooters, daily carry is unrealistic. Cost is also higher than many alternatives, which may place it out of reach for budget-conscious buyers. That said, practicality is not universal. For shooters prioritizing capacity, modern features, and durability over compactness, the FN510 makes sense as a defensive or outdoor handgun. It is not a general-purpose solution, but within its intended role, it delivers a clear and practical set of advantages. The Glock 20 earns its position through long-term consistency rather than refinement. While often criticized for its blocky ergonomics, it remains one of the most widely trusted 10mm pistols in real-world use. The grip is large, the trigger is utilitarian, and the sights are basic. None of those characteristics are impressive on their own, but together they form a system that emphasizes reliability over comfort. The Glock 20 is known for running across a wide range of ammunition, from lighter training loads to heavy hard-cast rounds commonly used for outdoor defense. One of the strongest practical advantages of the Glock 20 is ecosystem support. That ecosystem also allows shooters to tailor the pistol for specific roles, from range training to backcountry use. Barrel swaps, sight upgrades, and recoil tuning are common and well documented, lowering the barrier for owners who want to adapt the platform over time. Holsters are widely available, magazines are inexpensive, and aftermarket components are abundant. Shooters who want to tune recoil, run supported barrels, or adapt the pistol for specific ammunition types have extensive options without locking themselves into a proprietary setup. Maintenance is straightforward, and the platform tolerates neglect better than many alternatives. For users who spend time in harsh environments or prioritize a tool-like approach to ownership, that matters more than ergonomic comfort. The Glock 20 also scales well with experience. As shooters become more accustomed to 10mm recoil, the pistol continues to perform without demanding changes to technique or configuration. It may not be the most comfortable handgun on this list, but its durability, support network, and proven reliability make it one of the most practical long-term 10mm ownership options available. Practicality is ultimately defined by what people actually carry and train with, not what looks best on paper. The Glock 29 earns the top spot because it balances size, power, and flexibility in a way few 10mm pistols manage. As a compact platform, it offers a smaller footprint than full-size 10mm handguns while still delivering meaningful ballistic performance. Recoil is sharper due to reduced mass, but with proper grip and recoil management, it remains controllable for experienced shooters. More importantly, the size makes it realistic to carry in situations where larger pistols are often left behind. One of the Glock 29's most practical advantages is magazine compatibility. This compatibility also simplifies logistics for owners who already run full-size Glock platforms. Shared magazines, spare parts, and training familiarity reduce redundancy and make the Glock 29 easier to integrate into an existing setup. It accepts full-size Glock 20 magazines, allowing users to carry compact magazines while retaining higher capacity reloads. This flexibility bridges the gap between concealability and sustained firepower, particularly for outdoor use or travel. Aftermarket support further strengthens its position. Holsters, magazines, replacement parts, and accessories are widely available, simplifying maintenance and long-term ownership. This availability reduces downtime and lowers overall cost of ownership compared to more specialized platforms. The Glock 29 is not designed for comfort or refinement. It succeeds by being realistic to carry, reliable to run, and adaptable to different roles. That balance, rather than raw performance, is what defines practical ownership. Among available 10mm handguns, the Glock 29 aligns most closely with how people actually use and rely on their firearms. There is no single 10mm handgun that works best for everyone. Practical ownership depends on how the gun fits your hand, how you intend to use it, and how realistically you will train with it over time. Some platforms prioritize recoil control through weight. Others rely on capacity and modern features. While some strike a balance between size and carryability, none of those approaches are inherently right or wrong. They simply serve different users and environments. What matters most is choosing a 10mm you can control, maintain, and actually rely on. Reliability, support, and real-world usability will always outweigh theoretical performance or specifications on paper. If you're considering stepping into the 10mm world, take the time to evaluate how and where you'll use it, not just how powerful it is. As always, let us know which 10mm you trust and why. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.